prima tappa per il Vini Abruzzo on Tour in Nord America. Siamo in Canada, a Toronto, presso la location famosa De Carlo, e in questo momento si sta svolgendo la prima masterclass sui bianchi d'Abruzzo. Abbiamo pensato di proporre i due grandi bianchi abruzzesi, prima di tutto il Trebbiano e il Pecorino, che in questo momento stanno crescendo sia in termini di produzione che anche di popolarità. Ecco perché abbiamo deciso di puntare in questa degustazione sui bianchi e non sul Montepulciano come spesso accade. E sarà giusto il primo momento, una sorta di antipasto di questa giornata, che poi seguirà poi con walk around tasting con una quindicina di aziende abruzzesi che sono in parte già presenti sul mercato, in parte invece sono delle new entry e quindi stanno cercando dei nuovi contatti su questo mercato, che oggi diventa sempre più importante per la nostra regione. E quindi dall'1 alle 17 le persone potranno assaggiare un po' tutti i vini della nostra regione, quindi dal Montepulciano al Trebbiano, al Cerasuolo, al Pecorino, alla Passerina, alla Cococciola. Questo perché oggi vogliamo promuovere sempre di più i nostri vini in Canada, innanzitutto su questo mercato in particolare, perché come dicevo il Canada sempre rappresenta un mercato strategico per i vini d'Abruzzo, sempre tra i primi 4-5 mercati in termini di export, considerando insomma che qui ci sono dei monopoli importanti che hanno dato da sempre grande spazio ai nostri vini. Da qui poi ci muoveremo verso invece il Quebec, verso Montreal, dove organizzeremo anche lì un altro momento di promozione, anzi 2 momenti di promozione sui vini d'Abruzzo, uno domani e uno dopodomani, sempre per far conoscere i nostri vini e anche i nuovi produttori, perché qui abbiamo la fortuna di presentare anche tante nuove aziende, giovani produttori che si avvicinano al nostro mondo e che stanno facendo molto bene sia in termini di qualità vitivinicola, sia in termini anche di marketing e di promozione all'estero.
Parliamo del consorzio.
Sì, il Consorzio della Vini Abruzzo è l'organizzazione principale che tutela e promuove le denominazioni abruzzesi, pressoché tutte, rappresenta circa l'80% di produttori regionali ed è la realtà che si occupa di promuovere, in particolare in questo caso, i vini sui mercati non solo interni ma soprattutto esteri, considerando che circa il 70% dei vini d'Abruzzo vengono esportati al di fuori dei confini nazionali. Ecco perché noi ogni anno mettiamo in campo un programma di attività promozionali che vanno dal Nord America fino all'Asia, Centro Europa, Nord Europa, un po' insomma in tutto il mondo, per offrire ai nostri produttori un'arma in più su cui investire e promuovere i propri vini.
Questo rientra in un progetto europeo, come leggo dal programma?
Sì, questa attività e in particolare le attività in Nord America rientrano in un progetto di promozione europee che va sotto il nome del Charming Taste of Europe, che ci vede in partenariato insieme ad altri 2 consorzi, uno greco che produce i kiwi e un consorzio invece di vino francese, vino dolce di Bordeaux, con i quali noi organizziamo più o meno tutte le attività sia in Canada che negli Stati Uniti. Chiaramente questi progetti ci consentono di ottenere dei fondi che l'Europa mette a disposizione per la promozione delle denominazioni europee, che ci consentono appunto di organizzare queste attività che altrimenti sarebbero molto complicate da fare con le risorse proprie.
La particolarità dei vigneti d'Abruzzo?
Sì, fondamentalmente in Abruzzo abbiamo circa 34.000 ettari di vigneti, di cui oltre la metà è rappresentata dalla varietà Montepulciano, che chiaramente è quella per cui ci conoscono un po' in tutto il mondo, quella che dà vita alla principale DOC regionale che è Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, ma non solo, perché anche al nostro rosato, che piano piano sta conquistando i mercati di tutto il mondo, il cerasolo d'Abruzzo, e a cui poi si affiancano tutte quelle varietà a bacca bianca che vanno dal Trebbiano al Pecorino, oppure quelle più meno conosciute come la Cococciola, il Montonico, la Passerina, che tutte insieme rappresentano la base ampelografica dei vini d'Abruzzo. Chiaramente la particolarità principale dei nostri vitigni è un po' il sistema di allevamento, che è un po' caratteristico della nostra regione, che è quello della pergola abruzzese, o detta più volgarmente nel linguaggio comune abruzzese, il tendone, che è un sistema di allevamento che è molto tradizionale, che oggi rappresenta circa il 70% del sistema di allevamento dei vigneti abruzzesi, e che sta tornando prepotentemente in voga grazie ai cambiamenti climatici, perché ovviamente la pergola abruzzese, con un sistema di allevamento che consente al grappolo di essere riparato dal sole, che in un momento in cui i cambiamenti climatici e quindi il caldo è sempre più potente, diventa essenziale per la produzione di uve di qualità.
E poi come annate, avete delle annate particolari per questo tipo di...
Allora, il Montepulciano d'Abruzzo ovviamente non ha un'annata di riferimento, questo perché storicamente ogni produttore ha un po' la sua storia, la sua filosofia di produzione. È chiaro che un Montepulciano di buona qualità ha generalmente almeno un paio d'anni di invecchiamento rispetto all'uscita sul mercato. È chiaro che con il nuovo sistema il cosiddetto modello Abruzzo, l'organizzazione dei disciplinari di produzione, che ci ha visti protagonisti quest'anno, abbiamo presentato quest'anno con le nuove sottozone legate alla nuova menzione superiore per la DOC Montepulciano e per tutte quelle regionali, ci consentirà in futuro di avere comunque delle annate di riferimento, considerando che la prima è questa qui, quella del 2023. Quindi per quanto riguarda i rossi, attualmente non abbiamo un'annata di riferimento, mentre per i bianchi generalmente anche lì i vini sono quelli dell'ultima annata, anche se le uve e i vini bianchi abruzzesi stanno dimostrando, e hanno già in parte dimostrato, una grande longevità, quindi ci sono tanti produttori che iniziano a immettere sul mercato vini che hanno già un paio d'anni di affinamento in bottiglia.
Benissimo, e adesso qui si sta svolgendo il master?
Sì, qui adesso abbiamo appena iniziata una masterclass sul Trebbiano e sul Pecorino, proprio per dare ai nostri ospiti un'idea di quanto si stia facendo in termini di qualità in Abruzzo sui vini bianchi. Il Trebbiano da sempre ha rappresentato un vino di grande longevità e di grande spessore, soprattutto se lavorato molto bene in vigna. Il Pecorino è il vino che negli ultimi 20 anni è cresciuto maggiormente, sia in termini produttivi ma soprattutto in termini di notorietà sul mercato, e quindi abbiamo deciso di dare spazio e di far conoscere questa tipologia sul mercato canadese.
Bene, entriamo così diamo uno sguardo.
I'm sure you can ask the consortium to listen to you, because we want to focus on the wine a little bit more. But few hints on the consortium. Look at the label. Consortios, they actually started in 2002 only. Brand new. Okay, it's been 22 years now. Okay, so it's a brand new organization, and you see on the logo, the emblem is actually eagle. Well, they've got a lot of national park of wild animals and stuff like that. So they decided to choose an eagle just because, you know, the eagle is very protective and is fighting for its land all the time, as the people are in Abruzzo. David is actually native from Abruzzo. Look how old he is, he's still living here. Okay? You're native from the region. Perfect. Okay? So just be careful. Don't confuse this label with another one in them. Okay? Little rooster on it. Okay? It has two different labels. Okay? But that's very interesting. And I'm very, very proud of having a consortium since 2002 because, you know, Italian wine with the diaspora, they went all over the world. And people were trying to, you know, to make Abruzzo wine or Chianti wine, or stuff like that. So since 2002, what they're doing is actually they try to control and to ensure the quality of the wine that actually going out of the country. And the foreign market is the main market for the wine of Abruzzo. There's more wine going in different countries than wine within the country. Okay, what the best country for exportation, to your opinion, for the wine from Abruzzo? Right? Don't go too far to Italy. Germany. Germany is drinking a lot. Okay. Well, US for sure. You've got a lot of diaspora, a lot of Italian wines, Italian people over there. And what about Canada? Well, we're not that good. No, but you're learning and you're looking for good value, quality price wine. Okay. Okay, that's the numbers I was talking about. But basically, we're drinking less wine in Canada from Abruzzo than Germany and the US. You don't want that to happen. Okay, we have to beat the German for sure. Okay. So 34,000 hectares, 250 wineries, 1.4 million of bottles of wine only, a lot of definitely bulk wine, but there's also something like, if I'm not mistaken, 10,000 vine growers. It's a lot. It's a lot of small structure and a few wineries. It is on a market. You see, 118 million euro on the Italian market. They're very proud of their wine. They're drinking what's, you know, is in the land. Like, it's always funny, you know. I'm from France, and I was fighting so many years, like a few years ago, to go, okay, can we get wine from other countries than France? But then I realized, shit, if you're going to Paris, and you're staying at the Client Hotel because you're very rich, what do you want to drink? You want to drink wine from Argentina? For sure, no, you want to drink champagne. Okay? So the Italians are doing the same. They're protecting their land, and that's fair game. 232 million euro on the foreign market, and as I told you, Germany, USA, Canada, and we are so close to, what about the 10%? Who's drinking the 10% rest? Okay. Yeah, we're too close to that. Okay? So please, make it happen to go over there. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, you're here because you want to discover the wine from Abruzzo. You're here because we're gonna have wine to taste that are not on your market so far, if I'm not mistaken, most of them. So if you're looking for wine, and honestly, you're gonna meet a producer next door, they're lovely people. You know? I mean, they're not resting like this, saying like, wow, we're good. No, they're looking for quality, and they're looking for advice, and they're looking for human exchange to make sure wine quality is improving. Any questions so far? Okay, David, are we good? Perfect. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit more complicated. And honestly, I'm not sure your guests or your restaurant so far who you're selling wine to needs to go that far in terms of wine knowledge. For now, I think we need to know about the region, about the culture, about like Montepulciano, we know it already, but the grape you're gonna taste today, like the Pecorino and other grapes. But they're moving so fast in terms of quality, looking for a sense of place. They started dividing the region in small pieces. Always happen, you know, in like big regions they try to make it smaller. And as I told you, perhaps we can remember the 3 or 4 main areas of wine of Abruzzo. Chieti for sure, Pescara, Teramo, and then, well, I think L'Aquila, we can forget about this one right now, okay? But already if we know about those 3 names, you're gonna find it written on the label anytime soon, or sometime it's already there, okay? So make you have an idea so where it is in the map, and not being crazy and too deep. If you know Chieti is right on the east part of Abruzzo, you can make your mind on one type of soil it is, okay? But then, just like in Burgundy, on every notion of terroir, sense of place, you have to know your producer. Where is it located? Okay, so if Tolo is located in Chieti, fine. But who are they sourcing their wine from? Because there's a lot of grapes buying over there. What else? Pergola training system is the most widespread still now, even though more and more like new generation are going towards Guyot, double cordon, stuff like that. But as I told you, they're also using something which is very traditional. I don't know if we're gonna see that here. Yeah, it's called the Tendina Abruzzo. Okay, what's the main difference? Usually, when you've got a pergola, it's a 1 square of vine planted, and actually the pergola, the leaves are actually protecting the grape from sunburn and like overripeness. But it's like small plots like this and like this. As the tendona, the tent, is actually covering the interior, like the interior room is covered by leaves. So thinking about climate change, what does it do? The soil is not so warm, the soil is not getting so much sun, and the soil is keeping this humidity. Because when it's dry, it's very, very dry. So there's a slight difference. Honestly, I haven't talked to anyone about that yet, but please ask the question next door. It's gonna be really, really interesting. You're in south of Italy, Adriatic Sea, climate change, lack of water sometimes, a lot of sunburn. How do they achieve to keep the alcohol level quite low, can we say so? What else? Montepulciano is 17,000 hectares, so it's pretty much half of the entire production. And then we've got local grapes, Pecorino, Pasterina, Cocociola, Montanico, etc. But I don't know them all. Honestly, I haven't tried a Cocociola. Never in my life. Okay? But we're gonna start today with the Pecorino, which is quite interesting and lovely. I've been trying the wine a little bit earlier. Remove 1 Coke bottle, so it's supposedly very clean. And Pecorino, something for me is always, reminds me of my father going to Italy, sailing, and coming back home, not with a bottle of wine, but with cheese. Okay, and we'll see the name come from there. See, 10,000 grape producers. It's a lot. It's a lot. We can actually compare these numbers. Not in terms of cooperative necessarily, but grape producers with wineries on what you see in Spain in the Rioja region. Okay, very traditional of having grapes in your backyard. Oh, lovely that the sommelier stuff. Something I want to talk about, but you should know. Okay? Well. Different type of soil. Very good. Aquila. You see the black thing is actually where you can produce Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. So pretty much everywhere. Okay? Then, everything's green. The number 5, clay, moly, calcareous rocks. So you see in the middle to the Apennines you've got more like marl, which is a mix between clay and calcareous rocks. And then you see those rivers here. Well, what did they do? They just moved the soil down to the Adriatic Sea with the wind, with the water, etc. So the more you go on the eastward, the more you will see some clay, some sand, and a little bit of gravel too. Okay? So how can you make your wine? You talk about a lot of pecorino from, I don't know, Tollo producer. But how can you say it's more like, you know, on the calcareous or westport or more sandy? Well, you'll taste it. Okay? And that's gonna be interesting in the tasting. I don't know if you want to play the game, but you've got all the shits. But perhaps taste the wine first and try to have an idea on the spirit of the wine, like what the structure tells you. Is it more like silky? Is it more like mineral and very almost tannic-like some chalk and stuff like that? And then you can perhaps say, oh well, perhaps it comes from here or it comes from here. Does it get a relation between the place and the wine? Okay. So Chieti, the most important part of the region, is really, really interesting to me, okay, and very fascinating. That's where actually you're gonna have a lot of division now on, starting in 2006, 2010, they divided the region in small places. They're called Terre di something within Chieti. And you have definitely a lot of calcareous marl here. As a sommelier, makes things interesting, usually. You've got a lot of sand for sure, and you've got a little pockets of different soils. That's actually the main region where you have so many types of soils, okay? Producing the most quantity of wine. Chieti and then Terrano. You know Terrano is known for the DOCG, the only DOCG of the region, which is actually Montepulciano d'Abruzzo Collin Terramal, okay? And, well, why is it a DOCG? I don't know, it's Italy. You know, in Italy, yeah, Italy. Okay? No, it's a DOCG. And L'Aquila, and then you see when we hear about Pescara, it's not written in a specific region. Well, you've got a little Pescara here, but it's very in between Teramo and Chieti. But look for Chieti, even though there's a little bit of production in the region. So Pergola, we said Abruzzo Pergola, 80% of the region vineyard, for sure. Cordon trained now, like new generation of producers, because you know they were trained as a pergola because it was like that for centuries. So why should we change anything? Well, now we're changing because the new generations want to improve in quality, and they're actually getting back their land to their family instead of selling the grape to cooperatives. So they want to take good care of their vine. New installation and new replanting as well. That's a question of rootstock, definitely. And what I love about Italy and every single region of Italy, there's always a grape to discover. There's always something new. I mean, I've been trying to learn wines from Italy from a book. You know, like being on a public library for too many hours, couldn't remember anything. But if you read about the social, economical, and cultural part of Italy, you understand everything. You understand why in every single region they do some dry wine. You understand why some regions are more, rich than others. You just understand why Veneto started with some dryness of the grape, then starting some Ripasso and Amarone, and then moved on to South. Everything come from Greece at the beginning. Okay, denominations, that's where we're getting like way too far today. Okay, so I don't want to push too much on that because this picture is actually not really good. Just to come back like very shortly on that. The green part, the four main region, Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. Okay, but also Trebbiano d'Abruzzo and Serrasuolo d'Abruzzo. What a beautiful wine. I don't know if you're gonna have some Serrasuolo d'Abruzzo next door, but you know, thinking about rosé wine, stop selling some Provence shit. Sorry, I didn't say that. Okay, but honestly, there's always something different. If you're selling wine to restaurants, what's the difference between this restaurant and this restaurant? They're all selling the same rosé, but perhaps you should think about something different. Okay, so Serrasuolo d'Abruzzo, it's a Montepulciano rosé, but with some depth in it. And then you also have on this green part only Abruzzo, which is actually quite new because now you have Abruzzo plus a name of, you know, this indigenous grape, like all the grapes, so they can put that on the label. So this way, it makes it interesting because I think in a few more years from now, I think the Montepulciano will decrease in terms of planting slowly. And then producer as a new generation looking for more quality and more indigenous stuff and stuff like that will be planting other grapes or replanting other grapes. We'll see how it goes. Okay? Then it's a question of money for sure. Montepulciano, Tenebriano, Abruzzese, Pecorino, and Passerina. Just looking at the grape, you understand everything. Look at the grape of Montepulciano, like deep blue, thick skin. Okay, so a lot of polyphenol, a lot of tannin in it, and that's what I love about mainly all the grape from south of Italy. Their capacity of retaining acidity, depending where they're planted. Okay, if you think of like Sardinia or certain Vulture, stuff like that, you have to go higher in altitude. Sangiovese is a world grape for that. I mean, you might like some Super Tuscan wine, I don't. They're very too close to the sea. And the Sangiovese is suffering from like warmth and sunburn. It goes higher in altitude, it goes beautifully short and edgy acidity. Montepulciano can be actually exactly the same. Second most planted grape in Italy after the Sangiovese. Okay? Please be careful. I forgot to mention that. But perhaps for your restaurants, if you go into a restaurant and there's a sommelier, actually just carrying bottles and getting invoice. Oh, you guys, oh, it's Montepulciano. Oh, it's not very expensive. Well, no, it's not the other Montepulciano. There's one from the north and one from the south. Okay, so don't get confused on that. What can you tell me about the color of the grape of the Trebbiano Abruzzese versus the Pecorino and Passerina? What do you see on these pictures? It's brighter green. So what do you expect? More herbaceousness. Simple variation, not a lot of, you know, dimension in terms of flavors. But once again, it depends where it's planted. And more than that, how many Trebbianos do you know in Italy? Too many. Like, it makes it very confusing. But the Trebbiano d'Abruzzese is actually indigenous, local to Abruzzo, never moved away. They actually have the right to blend it with a little bit of Trebbiano Toscana in it, but most of the time they're using Trebbiano d'Abruzzese. We're gonna have some Trebbiano d'Abruzzese. I tasted some, and honestly, warm days, summer, it's like easygoing drinking wine. Herbaceousness, yes, but good herbaceousness. Think about like green herbs from Italy, from basil, sage, and stuff like that. Goes very well with. Pecorino and Passerina, love them. See the grapes? There's like this brown kind of color into it, and if you press it slowly, you know, some people say, you know, the flavor coming only from the juice, but if you press slowly, like the primary aromas are actually on the skin too. Okay. and furthermore, we can actually give you some structure to the wine. Passerina, I don't know that much about this grape. Have you ever been tasting some Passerina? Anyone? What does it taste like? Is it good? It's good. Perfect. The only thing I want to hear. No, it's not crazy. It's not Gewürztraminer for sure. Okay? We don't want it to be Gewürztraminer. And there's our grapes. And you see, the more you go, the more you've got like something looking at the grapes. And sometimes we forget about that. Looking at the raw material first, before going into the glass. I always say to my students, you know, stop smelling your glass. Just go in your hand and think your drone and go up the vine. Look like wilder, and then you have an idea of what the wine could be. Okay? There we go. So I think we're gonna start tasting it. Assuming you've got all the wine, they were cold enough. So perhaps they're a little bit too cold. Give them a little bit warmth with your hand. We have those 3 wines we can start pouring the next 3. So that's what I love about this kind of tasting, because you're gonna have the 6 wines, okay? A bit of Trebbiano, a bit of Pecorino, but then you can, you know, go from one to another, compare. And it's not a question about like, oh, I do prefer this one, oh, I do prefer this one. They're all good, to my opinion. But then it's trying to understand how the sense of place is looking into the glass, what type of vinification is used. Okay? Because I won't lie on you. I mean, talking about bulk wine preparatives, they use like mainly stainless for many, many years. Okay? Then it's a question of like, what temperature do they ferment the wine? But nowadays, with these new generations, they use so many different techniques, even for like fermentation. You know, there's stainless, there's ceramics, there's, you know, concrete eggs, there's amphora, there's so many stuff. And how can you achieve to have a wine from Abruzzo which is not considered as a just light, easygoing wine for aperitifs and then we move to something else? What do they do more and more now? They're working on the lees. And they're working on the lees because they know more precisely the grape they're using. Okay, working in a better way to concentrate their wine. It was not the case back then, because they were just drinking easygoing wine. Okay, so you can have Trebbiano d'Abruzzo, you can also have the blend, Trebbiano with a 15% maximum of the Trebbiano Toscano. So a lot of production within the green pots you saw earlier. Then, so some key points. What do you expect from Trebbiano? Pleasant, floral and fruity, straw yellow. Altitude is interesting. When you go on the hill, never higher than 500 meters of planting. You can go 600 meters, 700 meters, and remember, if you're actually facing the south exposure, okay, to have enough ripeness, because you saw it's like quite a green grape, so you need to have more exposure if you go higher in altitude. Now, taste fresh, dry, and orange. I love those kind of pictures. It's like, oh, you know, if you're into like, you said 5 à 7, 5 to 7, I don't know, you said that, yeah? Like a little chat and wine at the end of the day. Okay. Oh, my God, it's fine. You put that in the middle of the meal. Oh, it's pleasant, very flowery, fruity, and it's fresh and dry. You said it all. Okay, but every wine, every white wine should be pleasant, flowery, and fruity. It's a grape. It's a grape. So you've got leaves, then you have flowers, then you've got grape. So it should be flowery and fruity. And if it tastes fresh and dry, good job. And once again, it's not a complex wine. It's a simple wine. Does that mean it's bad? No. We have to accept sometimes to drink like more easygoing, simple version of wine. Not always drinking like over expensive Meursault without quality. Am I wrong? I don't know in your market, but in Quebec City, you don't find a Merceau on under $60 a bottle. And believe me, it's not good. Okay, but you can find definitely a lot of like well precise, well made Trebbiano d'Abruzzo for what? 20 bucks? Okay, I was telling you about the Serrazulo d'Abruzzo. So once again, we're in the green part. Serrazulo d'Abruzzo. This is a lot of talking on that, but basically it's a rosé. And that's interesting because it's not a rosé which is made to actually put more depth into the red. When they do Serrazulo, they do Serrazulo. That's all they do. Does that remind you of any kind of wine from France? Doing some rosé? Tavel. Do you have a lot of Tavel in your market? Do you have some Serrazulo? A little bit? But it's really interesting. Tavel, you know, it's a very small region, it's not producing much, and they're not selling much outside. But the Abruzzo wines are looking for like expanding their market. And I mean, if you're the next agent going into a restaurant trying to sell another rosé from Provence, I'm not saying they're not good. They're outstanding rosé. But you know, how can you go in a restaurant, enter the room, and say and tell the sommeliers like, oh, you know what? That's the season of rosé. Let me give you something to taste different, something which is not from Provence. Demark yourself from the two other restaurants you've got next door. Okay. So you see, and the color is beautiful on Serrazulo d'Abruzzo. Okay. So made of Montepulciano, and they're actually, in terms of technical vinification, the fermentation is limited with a short hours of maceration, few hours only. Okay, they can also produce it from the white version, so like, you know, just pressing very slowly, but at the end of the day, it's pretty much the same type of wine, but they're only focusing on producing the Serrazulo. They're not doing some deep red after that. And he has his own DOC since 2010 for a Rosata wine made from Montepulciano grape. Okay, it's actually a good for me entry wine to make people discover Montepulciano on the other side. Okay, not what they know about Montepulciano, but they think they know about Montepulciano. But being honest, I love those type of wines. You get a little bruschetta, tomato, basil, and a little bit of cheese on that. Lovely. You can also drink it in your swimming pool with 2 straws. Naked or not, depends to you. So, fruit with an almond aftertaste. It's red, it's actually quite cherry color because the concentration of the skin. Same thing with the altitude, can go higher in altitude if you're exposed to the dust. And dry, soft, harmonious, and delicate. Abruzzo Pecorino, that's where we're talking now, that's what you mainly have in your glass. So I don't know if you want to play this game, but I can leave you like, you know, 2 or 3 minutes to put your nose in the glass and smell, taste. Well, if you look at the sheets already, good for you. But if you want to play the game, and you know, there's no windows, we're only 40 of us. Okay? So you think you know wine? We'll see. I think I know wine, I don't know. Okay? I just tried the wine like very quickly earlier, but I haven't stopped on like marking the wine and stuff like that. And for me, the first impression you have will always be the best impression. Like you take your glass, you smell it, you drink and say, gosh, I love it. You won't have any problem to sell this wine to anyone. Okay, that's the main grapes. So starting in 2010, you've got the Abruzzo on the label, and then you can add the name of the indigenous grape. It's not that far away, like 2010 only. Just before that, it was only Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, Trebbiano d'Abruzzo, Serrazulo came later on. But what did they do with those grapes? Like, they were like indigenous. I don't know. Did they just, you know, sell it bulk or do whatever they want with that, or stay local. I have no idea. So top quality wines available on the market, and as David said earlier, Montepulciano is moving on with new generation coming back on their roots, coming back on indigenous grape, and coming back with new techniques of fermentation and vinification. So it's a Pecorino d'Abruzzo. That's almost extinct in the 20th century, significant increase in planting since 1990s. Why it was almost extinct in the 20th centuries? Because in the story of the social and economy of Italy, they were actually getting people from the south, going to the north, going to work in the automobile industry and stuff like that. So they were all going to Torino, and they had some help to actually rip up the vines and go up to north, or to let the land like it was. So now there's more and more discovering to do in south of Italy, because it was left just as, you know, a land. Nobody took care of it. But now people are coming back to the south of Italy and trying to, you know, to clean everything up. And that's why you will never stop finding a new grape in Italy. Okay. So Pecorino increasing in the 90s. And what does it taste like? Tell me, because I don't want to put that on the screen. I want you to tell me what it tastes like. So what you have in your glass is 1, 2, 3, 4 Pecorino, and the last 2, 5 and 6 are actually 2 Trebbianos, right? Okay. So are we good to taste? Just smelling at the wine, I mean, you can, the color are quite different too. Okay, you know, we're gonna have like 2 teams in a row, I think. One team is gonna love 1 and 2, and the other team is gonna love 3 and 4. Basically, I don't know how you see that, but what's the difference? Like, if you take number 3, sorry, if looking at the color of the wine, does it look like the other 4? Much deeper in color, okay? So what does it tell you in terms of winemaking? Maybe some oak aging, I don't know. Long maceration, okay? Makes sense to me, some maceration. Okay, sorry, it's 3, yeah, sorry. But number 4 is like, number 3, yo, so yeah. There's something, I don't know how to say, but there's something dusty, or there's something crunchy on the nose on number 3, which is really interesting. Yeah, makes sense. But go back on wine number 1 after smelling wine number 3. It's quite disappointing. That's why you should start with wine number 1. Okay? Okay. Fair components. I do agree. A little bit more on wine number 2, like flavor-wise, like on the nose, it's more like lovely and perfume than wine number 1. But they both have something very special in the palate. Like on wine number 2, you expect something like exploding on fruit and almost some like pear jam or pear puree. But then when you put that on the palate, what's left at the end of the taste is this feeling of dryness, and so some chalkiness. If you, I've got an exercise to give you, because I've been working in the business for 23 years now, and like a few years ago, Christopher Bates, master sommelier in the US, at Felix Table, met me. He told me, you know, take a sip of the wine, and if you want to actually see see if it's acid or not. Just leave your mouth open. And see how much you're salivating. And that's the difference for me between minerality and acidity. Because minerality you have to swallow, you have a lot of salivating process going on. But minerality dries your palate out. Okay? And you know, we can do like a 3 days conference on minerality without having an explanation clear. Okay? But for me that's something dry and chalky on that. And I love this pecorino. And I was telling you about the cheese previously. And my memory of the pecorino, my dad brought back from his travel. Pecorino is a cheese from Sardinia, originally. But they're also producing pecorino in Abruzzo. Actually, pecorino is the other Parmesan, okay? But it's made of, say, brebis, sheep milk? Brebis is sheep milk, okay? So it's stronger cheese, and it's got this feeling of dryness. Usually, you have to shave the pecorino on top of pasta or anything else. But if you take a chunk of pecorino, like an aged pecorino, you've got something which is very dry, almost dusty when it gets older, but very salty at the same time. So, fruit and floral aromas of tropical fruit, citrus, and vegetables. As we said, the second wine, more pear aromas. Are we looking for vegetable and citrus? I mean, honestly, citrus. And is David in the room? Oh, okay. Okay. But I mean, if you have a white wine, you've got citrus. Who cares? If you don't have citrus in a white wine, you know, drink something else. But vegetables, not that. You know, like on the first wine, I've got something a little bit greener. On the second wine, I've got also some herbs, but which is more like towards the sage, toward the basil. There's something fresh that goes well with fruits. Think about like, I don't tell you it's going with strawberries, but when I think with strawberries and basil, you know, bring some robustness or mint, which is actually quite lovely. Pale straw yellow with golden greenish nuance on the glass. That's what we have. Well spread over the whole landscape from the hilltop down to the coast, but honestly it's a very small spot still so far. And dry, aromatic, persistent, characteristic, earthly, mineral, floral that evolve with age. Do you think those two first wines, have the capacity of aging? I mean, I don't know if I will make them age, but for the price, the cost, I'll definitely try. I don't know, that's my concern. I mean, it's good, it's fresh now, or it will age. Sometimes we want to age a wine, but it's good now, drink it now, okay? Especially in restaurants, you know, I don't think it's worth it. Wine number 3. So low yield but good resistant to fungal disease for the pecorino, well altitude, high acidity. Wine with structure and density, alcohol and good acidity, good aging potential. I don't think those two first wines are very high aging potential. And the story, the story about the pecorino, that's a story, you know, sommelier should tell on the table. Sommelier shouldn't talk about the acidity, shouldn't talk about like blah blah blah, but should talk about, oh, let's talk about pecorino. And you can read that actually, you know, the way the people during the Transimensa were actually exchanging stuff. Okay, when the ship were going through the land, they let them a little bit of pecorino, and as pecorino, as a grape was planted there, they gave it the name. I think it's lovely, lovely story to tell. Then you've got, you know, this picture here. That's the area around Villa Maggia and front of Chieti, a lot of quality winemaking. So once again, if you stay towards the Chieti, you've got a lot of more complex and more age-worthy wine. But I haven't tried some Villa Maggia, okay? And then Montepulciano, you've got a lot of that planted here. And you can actually add a little bit of other grapes than Montepulciano when you have some Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. Okay? Being honest, you might ask the producer or David, but I think they're mostly using like 100% Montepulciano most of the time. Okay? So that's the great Montepulciano. 2018 became a DOC, and there's a lot of history behind it. A little bit of blend if you want, and there's a relation between what's in the cluster, what's in the skin of the grape. So medium compact, conical or pyramid shape, but you saw it's like very blue, like deep blue type of grape. So as soon as you let it macerate, will give you a lot of color. Okay, and you can get a reserve after 2 years of aging. Okay, and don't be confused, because sometimes reservoir is mistaken with oak aging, but reservoir in Italy is not necessarily oak only. Okay, it's always a relation between oak aging and resting wine. Okay, so it goes on the market ready to be drank. 12.5% alcohol for Montepulciano. Wow, easy to achieve. Okay, there's no consideration on that. And that's where we don't want to go, but you might see that on the label. Okay, some sub-denomination have been designated for the province of Pescara, so in between Terano and Chieti. And it's always a name, most of the times there's always Terre di Vestini, Castoria or Terre di Castoria, Terate di Pellegrini, Alto Tirreno. I don't want to go too far on that, but please take a picture of that, because you're gonna see more and more indication of those local micro sense of place on the label today and this afternoon on tasting. Okay, like the wine number 2, which is a Pecorino, is actually a good example. It's not a micro version of it, but it's Terre di Chieti. So it tells you that's from this region. Okay. Do we have another one? Again, Abruzzo Pecorino. The first one was also Terre di Chieti Pecorino by Tolo. But honestly, like, if you're a consumer, you really care now about that. Now you just want to discover a nice, fresh and aromatic wine from Pecorino. I will move on the Montepulciano. You know about it already. We talked about that already. We talked about all this already. Chieti, most of the plantation. And yeah, just make sure when you serve Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, you don't go too high in temperature. Okay, like any other red wines, to my opinion. No, I don't, I just serve them 16 degrees. Doesn't matter where they come from. It goes quickly to temperature when it's needed. But when they tell you like to serve a Beaujolais wine at 12 or 13 degrees, I think it's a bit cold, honestly. But 15, 16 is quite lovely. That's preservation, you don't need to stay on that. And that's it, it's advisable to open the bottle of Montepulciano at least 1 hour before tasting. Wow, I don't know, depending on the Montepulciano. But sometimes it's got something which is a bit earthy animal on the bottle when you crack the bottle. So perhaps just to let it breathe for a few minutes, it's not a bad thing. We'll move on because we are not talking about Montepulciano. Beans. Okay, that's where we are. So the first wine, once again, we're going back on the first wine. Tolo, you've got CH from Chieti region, but once again, it says location of the wineries. So please ask the wine representatives over there, where does the wine come from? Should come from Chieti, but sometimes you don't know. It's like, oh, I have a wine from Drouin. Yes, which appellation? Okay. Distilling of the grape, prior maceration. So I think they try to get like very low temperature fermentation, keep the wine nice, fresh, crisp, and that's what we have in a glass. When you smell it, doesn't smell much. So it means the temperature of fermentation didn't get too high in order not to have too many aromatics. Oh, that's also one thing. In terms of palate, full-bodied, well-structured, long-lasting with a perfectly balanced acidity. I don't know about like the full body spectrum of it. You know, sometimes they put that on shapes, but we have to be honest. Is it full body? The first one. It's easygoing, fresh, and you want to drink it in your swimming pool. Raw fish, shellfish, mollusk, anything come from the sea. Second wine. Frisa, same region, you can see, a little bit less of production, some pecorino, and definitely still with fermentation temperature control with selected yeast, refined still. Well, selected yeasts, should we talk about it? Is it bad? Depends. If you've got a like indigenous grape yeast and you select it, and you multiply it, becomes a selected yeast. Is it bad? No, it's very good. Okay? But then you can ask yourself the questions like, where does this aromatic come from? Does that come from the yeast? Or does that come from the temperature of fermentation? To my opinion, I think the wine is clean, it's lovely. Going into still tank fermentation, perhaps they raise the temperature a bit higher to express the wine a bit more. But you know, I'm no one to tell you it's that or that. So then we have to talk with the producer. But I love the floral part of it. There's almost something that reminds me of lavender on that, like fresh lavender lilac. So you know, two different pecorino. One says raw fish, shellfish was actually crushed and then went on the lees a little bit. But the first wine for me is very simple, very clear. It's like fresh mollusk, even with citrus, fresh herbs, that's it, that's all. Whereas the second wine, you can perhaps go on more like creamier sauce, like you know, let's say seafood, poultry, and poultry, something slightly more gentle in terms of acidity, there's some slight creaminess into it. Third wine is actually another Pecorino, Macan 2021 in Teramo. So we're moving from south to the north part, they call it Teramane. And very small production. And definitely for me, when you put that on nose, there's some skin maceration, I don't know, let's say skin maceration. We have nothing.
I have bio on this sheet, so that means it's organic.
It's organic. Organic is a new conventional. I mean, if you do something on food and wine and you're not organic, you're not gonna sell anymore. Okay? What do you think about this third wine? Is it more complex? Like it's complex in its simplicity, in my opinion. There's something which is very clear, very focused on it. It's not complex like a Big Mac, right? Who loves this wine? Raise your hand. Who's not a big fan of this wine? Being honest. And that's lovely, because what does it say? It says Abruzzo is not making only one type of wine on the wines. You've got different type of wines. There are 3 different wines for different people. I love the feeling of the skin on this wine. I love this like peppery, white pepper kind of feeling you have. There's some dryness, almost some tannic feeling into it that I really, really enjoy. White meats, vegetables, also artichoke and pumpkin and shellfish. What does the pumpkin do on this wine? Just brown it up a little bit. Okay? But for me, it's a lot of energy. The second wine was more on the aromatic side, whereas this one is more on the structural side, the energy and the verticality. Okay? And you don't have to agree with me. We all have different palates and way to taste. IGT Colin Pescaresi Trebbiano Rupara. So the consortium is actually working on IGT. to my opinion, I don't know, like I would say 10 to 15 years from now, the IGT will move on to a DLC. Like if you're looking at the wave and how they work right now, I think that you will have more and more appellation there. Pedano and 6 months in concrete, straw yellow, it's a Trebbiano. Lupaya, it's Lupaya, right? Actually, there's a little mistake. Yeah, it's not Lupara, it's Lupaya. I don't know if what's written on your sheet. Lupaya, okay, so that's a real mistake on the screen. What's the smell on it? Ocean? There's some like salt and like petrichor. It smells scummy. There's something, you know, a bit skanky. And be honest, I mean, I'm not here to say that all the wine are good because they're from Abruzzo. We have to express ourselves, and you know, you're in front of your customer at the table, you open this wine. Well, what do you say? Oh, it's an easy drinking Trebbiano with citrus and flowers. No. But what did you do with this wine? Oysters? But what, like in terms of service? Do that and we'll take a shower of Trebbiano. But please use a carafe on that. It's a bit reductive to my opinion. And you know, I've been checking my wine and actually fruits, herbs are coming back. It's not, doesn't smell like an Heineken anymore. But does smell like oyster shell now. For me, it's very precise. God, it's good. Excuse me, but I didn't like it on the first crack of the bottle. And also, I was like, imagine your guest on the table and you tell him about the Trebbiano, how lovely it is, blah blah blah, and you serve that. You've been fine. So just use a carafe. Know your wine, know how to address it to your customer. Oh, myself. It's volcanic. There's something here like a little bit like sulfur, but good sulfur, like something slightly smoky, but not smoky from the oak aging. It's like a crushed rock smoke, like flinty, right? Because for sure you've got a little bit of volcanic soils everywhere in Italy. Because if you talk to John Zabo, I'm sure you know about him, and we'll tell you what, there's good volcanic, there's bad volcanic. Okay, so don't go from volcanic fish, dishes, soups, and aperitifs. Well, soups, fish soups, but I won't go too warm on the soup. You know, I need something more like you know, spicy. You know, they do something in northeast of Austria, which is called can't remember. I have to say, but paprika, something a bit, or in the bouillabaisse in the south of France. But if you serve food which is too warm on this wine, you just, you know, go over it. But, you know, I've been waking up since 2 o'clock in the morning. I feel so alive right now. And you might like or not, but, I mean, for me it's a good expression of what the terroir could be without, like, putting a lot of stuff into the wine to make it go into one single direction you want. Cirelli, one, I don't know in your market, but in our market in Quebec, very good value wine, okay? The way they're making wine, the price of the wine, it's under $20 in our market. And I love those wines too. It's more an easygoing and more like, you know, pleasant version of the Trebbiano d'Abruzzo. I would call it classic. The nose is not that, you know, powerful and perfumed. That's a Trebbiano. But honestly, before I was working with Abruzzo Consortio, I had an idea on Trebbiano, which was for me like, oh, it's easygoing wine, doesn't taste like anything, blah, 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 blah. There's something into that wine. There's some dryness, there's some crunchiness, there's some aftertaste, there's almost some like lovely bitterness. Okay, very slight lovely bitterness, like grapefruit skin on that. And they're going on for 18 months. Okay, so looking for new generation, moving towards, you know, sense of place, getting back their land to their roots. Really, for me, it's a good value wine. Do you have this wine in your market? How much does it cost? 25-ish. Okay, come to Quebec. That's funny because we always say, oh, which one is the most expensive, you know, France? It depends. I think at the end of the day, it's like April.
How much is it in Quebec?
I don't even know if it's even $20. I'll tell you later. Okay. And the last wine, Trebbiano d'Abruzzo Fosso Cancelli del Chiavolic, 2021 as a DOP. And we have here 100% Trebbiano Abruzzese.
Oh, this is good.
And we are talking about a more like natural type of vinification with some, you know, indigenous spontaneous fermentation. Terracotta, amphora, and 15% untossed oak barrel. So the beginning is amphora, same thing as Cirelli, but then they add 50% of barrel into it. I will never say that this wine is oak. We've got some texture. It's got some lazy aging. There's also some flintiness, in my opinion. I don't know, do you get a lot of like oak flavors in that wine? For me, the oak, you know, if you've got a good oak expression in the wine, it's not a vanilla coffee Tim Hortons kind of wine. Should be like, you know, developing through the fruit of the wine. I don't know, it's just, I mean, testing this one blind, I won't be able to call like oak aging. Or perhaps on the nutty side of it, like a little bit of slight oxidation, but like microbes oxidation, but I don't know about else.
It's more complex.
It's good complex. Any other opinion on this wine?
I love it. It's good. Love
I
it.
think on the whole, the Pepinos are much more interesting for me.
But as you've seen, you know, like the three Pecorino, the three Trebbiano, you've got 6 different wines, like totally different wines. So what I do expect is you to go out of this room without the idea of, oh, it's Abruzzo wine, it's cheap, and it's got only Abruzzo, Trebbiano and Montepulciano. We did a little presentation, but we were focusing on the whites and to make you perhaps rediscover a new type of wine. All right? Any question, complaint?
Yeah, what about the kiwi?
Oh, complaint. Go for the complaint.
What about the kiwi?
What about the kiwi? You want a kiwi?
Yeah.
That was definitely. I don't know. I mean, that's funny. Yes, it's a European Union thing. But let's talk about the kiwi for a minute.
The first one is a lot.
Which wine would you go with the kiwi?
Sauvignon Blanc. The first one's a lot.
The
more
first one?
yeah.
I don't know. But I'm very surprised. I love the fact that I finished this conference with a dry palate, something chalky, something flinty, like crushed rock small, and not on the aromatic or the fruit expression of it. So thank you very much for being here. Don't hesitate if you have any question I can answer. You've got many producers next door, and thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
If you want to take pictures, I will leave all the bottle of wine here.
Yeah.
So we do have a lineup. Am I on time? Not bad.
And after one.
1 hour.
Very good.
Thank you. Love those wines. Like many different expression. You know what? I cannot tell I prefer one than another. they're all, pleasant in a different way and for different time of the day or depending on who you are with. Yeah. It's not a single ovation of the Abruzzo. It's a three-dimensional or more dimensional version of Abruzzo. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Still one of my favorites.
Yeah.